I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Coming tonight, so do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
A motion, got a second discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Public comment? Okay. Thank you all for coming. Do we have a motion to approve the consent items?
Motion.
Motion by Ron,
Second.
second by me. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion items. E-learning.
I'll talk a little bit, but then this will also be the time where those board members on the district tech advisory subcommittee for the on-site school can also talk about that meeting. When we talked about e-learning, it was always an option. However, because Thursday's April 11th snow day dropped us to 164 student contact days for our kindergarten, especially the early childhood kindergarten, and for Summit Learning Center, we have to use the legislative language. Otherwise, we lose funding. So since we are using that language, one stipulation of the language is that they strongly suggest that districts that have to use that language adopt e-learning plans. And so I don't really feel like we have much of a chance to say, yeah, we just really didn't want to do this. So we're now moving forward as it is necessary. We're working through it, and so if the committee members would like to discuss how we're working through.
Well, we want to make sure that all our students can get contact, so we're looking at those who want to take computers home. So with the Chromebooks, we're looking at getting insurance for them so that it'd cover that. It'd be like $40 a year, and that covers up to $300. So if they have more than $300 damage, they'd have to pay another $40.
So they have more than $300 in damage?
Yeah. The Chromebooks are like
Yeah, I was gonna say, how would they have more than
$165. So,
that?
but I mean, if they
They keep breaking
broke
up.
them a couple times or lost them a couple
I see what you're
times,
saying, so it's
yeah, then they would have to.
multiple units.
And we're looking at what we're going to do for e-learning, for getting contact with them. We want to make sure that it is relevant to what's going on, not just busy work for them or things like this. So it's going to take some time yet to get that through, but we're going to have to get it before summer or midsummer, because we got to, like Corinne says, we got to let them know, they got to know before the first year starts and everything.
Yeah, we wanna, so we went over a survey that Lisa had sent out, and so we went over those results, and the plan needs to be written, and do you know when it's gonna be? I mean, we're trying to get it done soon.
I'm working on it right now, getting pieces filled in with Rick to, the high school is pretty straightforward, but for the elementary, that's a little, we wanna make sure that it fits with what they're doing, but it really doesn't make sense for the elementary kids to be logged on all day to Schoology. That just doesn't seem like it would be educationally sound. So we're trying to come up with a way that they can still get e-learning.
Credit.
And we talked about having it be 7th through 12th graders would be able to take Chromebooks home. And so they'd have the option to sign up for this insurance and the option to take it home, and all the language I think will be in the plan. But we'd like to have, I would personally like to have the plan done before school is out.
Oh,
So
we've got it slated.
families, everybody knows that it's coming in the fall. They might choose not, if they know they're gonna be getting a Chromebook in the fall, maybe they were gonna purchase a laptop over the summer and now they're not. just so the families can plan on it and know what's gonna be happening when
And
school
Lisa
starts.
has a meeting scheduled before our next board meeting in May.
Right,
Are
so
we-
May 9th is the next meeting, the plan will be, drafted. By then, the committee will have a chance to pick it apart. And so, my hope is that by May 16th, it's, solid enough that it can come to the board for approval, because that committee will have, been able to weigh in on it.
So I just have a couple questions on the Chromebooks. Since we can get them so cheap, are we gonna give the parents opportunities to buy them if they want to through the school for themselves to have at home? Or just
For the schools that have the kids purchase,
for
they're-
themselves, not necessarily?
purchase their own devices, none of those devices can be used for testing. So
Oh,
if
okay.
there is a district that allows the kids to
Mm-hmm.
outright purchase them, those districts still have to have a bank of school computers to use for testing.
But are they gonna do testing while they're at home on those days off?
Oh, no, I'm talking state testing, I'm talking
Oh, no,
MCA
I'm not
testing.
talking that, I'm just saying, for the e-learning courses, like, you have kids that may have laptops at home, some that may not. Some parents can or may not be able to afford it, are we gonna give them an opportunity to say, if you wanna buy a computer, we can sell you one through the school at $125, then you don't have to pay the $40 insurance, then you don't have to do any of that stuff as long as you have
But
access.
then we need another computer for them for state testing when they're
Yeah,
here.
but don't we already have that here, don't we, for all
Well,
kids?
No, the ones we have here will be the same ones they're checking out to go home. There's no reason to have
So
double
we're,
coverage.
okay, so,
But there's some that need to be purchased that were up for,
yeah, I know we.
just on the
talked about mine, so,
rotation,
yeah.
but yeah, if a kid has one that they got last year, we're gonna slap a case on it and that's theirs,
Okay.
and they can take it
Tom,
home.
are you wondering if you wanna offer that as a perk that
Yeah.
families would?
But
If
then
they
we have
wanted
to
it.
buy them another
The
But they would
school
buy it.
still has to provide one.
Right.
No, I follow you, but just offering that, yeah.
And then on the insurance, are we looking, sorry, Mike, this one.
No,
more
go
thing.
ahead.
On the insurance, are we looking at any grant opportunities for parents or kids that may feel like that $40
Yeah,
is?
we're
Yeah.
looking at with reduced meals and
Okay,
stuff.
okay,
Yep.
good, okay.
Foundation or somebody having,
Funds available?
yeah.
What's the lifespan on these?
4 to 5 years.
Oh, I just ended up purchasing one from the Preston School District, because they sold theirs.
Mhm.
I think I purchased it for $100, something like that. Is that what we do then after 4 or 5 years?
If anyone feels they've got life left in them, then,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
these you're buying them on a, it may quit tomorrow,
Right.
so.
yeah,
Yeah, we
that's-
got,
Yeah,
there's policies for selling school district stuff, you have to
Right.
Right,
have
right.
it open to everybody.
and an
it's kind of-
auction, and, yeah,
Yeah.
and
yeah. that's
there are
true.
different vendors that come in and, you,
By black milk.
yep, so you do an a request for proposal, and you go
In
with
the
them.
past, didn't we just recycle our
Yeah.
old stuff
Mhm.
because we didn't?
It was
so-
more of a headache to,
Right,
and they had
because
to
what was
apply
happening
them.
is
It
you'd
was-
sell one to somebody and then they come back to 2 weeks and say, hey, I just bought
it's
this, it's
not,
not
it's
working.
not working, we just didn't want to.
Remember
do
this
it.
little note
As
that
is.
says as is? Yeah, but really?
Yeah.
You know, then.
It wasn't worth it.
Yeah, so,
So if they have a device at home though, if they have their own device at home, can they do their work from home on their own existing device? So they would have a Chromebook in a case that could go with them, but they could also log in from home on their own computer instead of buying one.
and that's what I was leading to, in
Yeah.
that
Right, so,
purchasing one, so. if
yeah,
they
but
felt-
instead of us purchasing,
Right.
so if they have one, otherwise they can take the schools.
What I hear you saying is that you just wanna know if we could be like a store and offer them
Yeah.
a low price on a
Yeah, but
computer.
No,
it doesn't work because of the testing thing.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to buy 2 computers then.
Well, I'm just saying if people
But-
want one at home, not even to,
They can go buy one from Best Buy.
They won't-
Yeah.
They're not that much more, just buy or something.
is that what you were talking about?
yeah,
The one thing about the whole thing is the cases are not cheap, especially if you were to buy a case for every one of them, so
We're looking at
something to keep in
putting,
mind.
gorilla cases on them, or what they call them,
jelly,
jelly cases, they're $40 for protection. of the thing, so
Get
if
equal
they drop it or
$16,000
something.
or something if we were to put
$16,000.
one on everything, so.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've gotta decide, so if somebody has a laptop at home and they choose that they don't wanna pay the $40 and they don't wanna take the Chromebook home and they just wanna leave it here, they might not get a case. I mean, we haven't made all those decisions, but I don't know, but they would have to leave it here then. And then there'd be another set that says, yes, I wanna spend the $40, or I guess, we said they could check it out and take the risk too and just pay for the repair, or do we not?
Yeah,
I don't know, we need to work through all that
yeah,
stuff.
those
it's
are
a work
those are the things we need
They're
to
working on those.
work through.
If they're doing testing, it has to be on
School.
the
School
school
computer.
computer.
And sometimes there is some special software that you load on the machines that isn't licensed for their machine. We only have a school license for it.
Any other questions about it?
So in the case where someone does not have a device at home and they do not purchase it even with a grant, is that where we don't foresee anyone falling through the cracks?
We can't,
We
we
would
have
have
to
to-
provide it.
We would have to provide it somehow.
For the 7th
We're
through 12th
providing
And
grade.
so
They're
if-
taking one
if-
home like it or not?
Well,
Well,
if they can't afford the insurance, we find a way to cover the insurance. They can take one
Just
home,
make it a
they just,
no-brainer for them to
Yeah.
take it,
Okay.
okay.
So
Well, and-
free and reduced lunch.
Every night they wouldn't have to take it home, but if we know there's a blizzard coming the next day and it's probably gonna be an e-learning day, they're gonna, please
Well,
take them home, right?
yeah, it's like when you know the bomb cyclone or the polar vortex is on its way, you just say, hey, it'd be a good idea to take your Chromebook with you tonight.
Okay.
But that's
So
not a
it's-
promise that we'll have. And that's the other thing that, e-learning days are not snow days. An e-learning day is looked at as a day in session. It's coded as a day in session, and contractually, it's a day in session. It is not a snow day. And so I don't want people to conflate the two. They are two very separate things.
And Corinne also said in our meeting, the very first time we have a weather issue, usually a district says, this is a snow day, so this is your one snow day. And the next time it's gonna be an e-learning day. So,
Did you have another?
I
question?
follow you. But snow days can become e-learning days, obviously.
What we
After
would
the
do
first
is,
week.
it's a
Well,
call of the,
yep.
yeah,
we can have up to 5 e-learning days.
Yep.
And schools, sometimes you see it on the scroll where it says, this is an e-learning day. So it's not a snow day, it's just an e-learning day, which means everybody stays home to do their learning. Or this is a WILD day. WILD actually stands for Weather Impacted Learning Day.
Oh.
And it's just a acronym. And so when you see a scroll across and it said WILD and WILD was all in caps, it was an e-learning day.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, just one what if somebody doesn't wanna have a computer at home?
That's nice.
That will be addressed in the plan as far as the amount of time they have to turn in the work that was due that day. Because what you typically do is when the work is submitted, that's when the teacher can count you as attending, because we do have to take attendance on e-learning days. And so for most schools, you have, I think, most of the plans I've looked at give the students a week. And so within a week, they have to turn the work in, and then they're counted present.
So they would
There's
be
a lot of
absent.
statute language that has to be covered in the plan to make sure that we're,
That it is considered e-learning.
And and it makes me think if I have a kid at home and they're actually sick that day, they're upstairs throwing up, do I send an email and tell Judy they're sick today, just like I normally would? And they're counted
As sick, you could, or you could, they could do their work a couple days later, turn it in, and if it was an e-learning day, they could get counted present even though they were sicker than a dog that day.
Okay.
I just think the parent, it's all good stuff. The parents are gonna have to understand
Oh,
this
no,
too,
this is,
of what it means.
it's a lot of
and that-
education, mainly for the kids know it means that they still have to do school even though they're sitting at home. That if you listen to the conversation in the hallway, they get that. But it's,
But the
it's a
parents,
lot of
yeah,
explanation to parents as far as what this is and what it looks like, and can the students have e-learning if, if we open up Hurricane Watch and have Hurricane Watch on a snow day, so can they do e-learning from Hurricane Watch and get all of that
And
stuff?
then the teachers also fit into that. They have to be available and be able to be contacted by phone or online during the school hours that e-learning is going on.
And with
I'm
phone,
sure
it's
that would
really,
come up in
a phone is
conversation.
easy because
Ready for that.
as soon as
Call
somebody
forward,
calls their classroom here, the voicemail pops up in their email. So if they're online and on email, they can take the message and then call the person back right away and hide their number, so then they don't have to worry about giving their number out to anybody.
another thing to think of is we have policy that says we don't have board meetings or, any team practices on a snow day. Do those apply to e-learning days as well? So we probably need to,
We need to change our policy to talk about board meetings on e-learning days. And it might be that,
E-board meetings.
They talk about those.
e-board meetings on e-learning days, yeah,
Okay,
it's funny.
so there's a lot more to come on that?
yes,
Anything
Yeah, I
else?
have this feeling, it's like, we kind of don't know what's there or missing or what we've missed until the plan is written, and it's not written yet, so. Yeah, it's
We're-
not
we're-
gonna be a simple thing, I think it's gonna be quite a bit of work to
we're
get.
putting, I'm just, as I'm writing the plan, I'm making sure that I've taken the information and the conversation from the committee meeting, and then, as Michaeline said, it's all tied to statute. So I'm just making sure that each part of the plan addresses statute language and complies with the statute language.
Good, good. Okay, update on 3-year review?
The 3-year review is, I've got Essa here first, I'm sorry. If we scroll down a little bit to the 3-year review first, so it matches. We're waiting until testing is done, so we'll start in May. It's exactly the same review process we used 3 years ago. This is the first time that we've had a 3-year review where they've used the same process twice. And so instead of constantly creating something new, a lot of what we did last time we can use again. And so last time there was a lot of heavy lifting to create it, and now this time we're looking through to see what things are just status quo and what things have changed. So in May, we've got the 4 prongs, the governance, the academics, the teacher professional development, and there's one more prong. But we've got 4 administrators. I'll take governance, Angela will take academics, and then we've got Laura and John. And so each one of us will take one of those prongs, and we'll get the subcommittees convened and work through it again. But as Angela and I dug through all of it, it will be much easier this time around. It's just right now we're in the process of gathering all the syllabi and making sure we have alignments for all the courses that are within the last 3 years.
Okay.
And then as far as ESSA, the man we've been working with, Michael Cody, sent me an email early this week saying, I've decided to retire again. I really don't like working. So we've got a new contact, and Michael Cody and I had worked through kind of how the district's plan was, and he said, yeah, he thought that was okay with him, but he said, now sent an email saying, you better check with Tyler to see if that plan's still okay with him. So I've got a meeting set up with Tyler at the beginning of next week to see if there's anything different. As a reminder, for our plan, since most of the reason why we were cited dealt with MNVA's graduation rate and MNVA's attendance, we're using the MNVA basic inquiry into why their problem existed. And so that whole first deep dig into where the problem is, why the problem is, we're using their documentation for the district, because that's where the problem is, and Michael Cody was fine with that. And hopefully Tyler won't say, no, you've gotta do the whole thing for the district, cause that Houston High School graduation rate is 100%. Summit's graduation rate is 100%. Our attendance for both Summit and for Houston High School and for Houston Elementary School are in the 90s as far as percentages. So it doesn't, that's why Michael Cody and I talked several times, and he finally acquiesced to, yeah, it doesn't make sense for you to do the whole thing for the on-site school, because they're going to wonder why in the world we're asking these questions.
But this is a district plan.
It is a district plan. So the district plan will be that the high school and Summit Learning Center will continue doing what they're doing to achieve the 100% graduation. And then MNVA will do this plan. So the whole district will be covered, but as far as the analysis of the issue, when there isn't an issue, I don't know why we need to do the whole analysis. That just seems
Is there a date on that needed by?
May 1st.
Oh, okay.
But I thought there was going to be an easy button, and hopefully it still will be after I talk to Tyler Livingston. So I just wanted to give you an update.
Okay, cool. Any other people have any questions? Okay, HVAC presentation.
Okay, we are going to, it is a 15-minute presentation put together by Deb Marcotte of HVED, and every superintendent within the 13-member consortium was asked to show this at their board meeting. So that every board hears exactly the same thing, exactly the same way.
Is this a YouTube?
Nope, it's
Greetings, Hiawatha Valley
Can we do it on
Education
1.5
District.
time?
This narrated presentation is meant of the facility study that our consultant, Kraus Anderson, is providing for HVAC.
We were all thinking that,
This
but
information has been recently reviewed by HVAC superintendents, and it was determined that it would be beneficial to update all member district school board members by way of this PowerPoint presentation. Within this presentation, we will highlight HVED's history and purpose, member districts, and the mission and vision of HVED, an education district that is devoted to serving the needs of the alternative and special education students residing within the southeastern corner of Minnesota. Of a total student population of 12,500, the students served by HVED number nearly 2,300. The geography of HVED spans the counties, in whole or in part, of Fillmore, Houston, Olmsted, Wabasha, and Winona.
Did you see that?
For over 30 years, Hiawatha Valley Education District has been providing low incidence special education and alternative education services to students from birth to age 21. Examples of these services include blind and visually impaired, deaf and hard of hearing, speech and language pathology, occupational and physical therapy. HVED also serves students with a diagnosis on the autism spectrum range or with behaviors that need a setting for program or are at-risk learners. These services are provided by skilled professionals who work with your child's teachers and others to create an exceptional team to meet the developmental and educational needs of all our students. It is our goal to do more than just meet all students' needs. Our goal is to empower these exceptional students to reach their full potential. Although the member districts within HVED have changed over time, HVED currently serves 13 member districts and 2 charter schools. HVED may also lend assistance to students from other districts if needed. The member districts provide working spaces within their buildings for HVED staff members, share the staffing and operational costs of the education programs, and benefit from the guidance, professional development, and services of the HVED staff. Any student from each of the districts or charter schools shown on this map may benefit from the services HVED provides at any time. Our work begins with a multi-tiered system of supports, or MTSS, and expands to the programs you see highlighted on this map. An Area Learning Center, or ALC, a Setting 4 behavior program called SAIL, and an Autism Spectrum Disorders program called Spectrum are all examples of programs that provide the most appropriate educational setting for your students. Together, each of us, collectively and collaboratively, work to meet our mission. Our mission, in partnership with member districts, will be a progressive educational agency that embraces modern technology and effective, data-driven, research-based methodologies and resources to provide a high-quality education to all students so that they may reach their full potential. Our vision, the foundation of all we do, is to collaborate as exceptional teams, empowering exceptional students. As we plan for the future of HVED, we need to address program needs and facility needs and the challenges these needs present. These challenges can be expressed in 3 distinct categories. How do we continue to provide appropriate learning space for our current and growing programs? How do we best serve the needs of our 13 member districts in a collaborative and cost-effective way? And how do we continue to address the staffing needs to support our programs through recruitment and retention of these specially qualified staff within a competitive and limited market? First, let's consider the issue of a shortage of appropriate space due to growing programs. In many instances, our learning programs need space that is far different than traditional K-12 classrooms. Many of our learning programs occur in flexible classroom spaces and require a number of student support spaces for one-on-one learning and individual or small group sensory or intervention spaces. Our space needs are constantly changing as programs evolve and student participation grows. Let's take a closer look at how facilities affect programming. In 2015-16, the HVED Area Learning Center was in 2 locations, River Valley Academy in Kellogg and Valley View Learning Center in Dover. The Dover program had a larger student body, but both programs were overstaffed, and the Dover building carried a lease of $20,000 per year. The ALC program was losing over $100,000 a year. To correct this problem, the Dover ALC site was closed and the staff was downsized and consolidated to Kellogg, a building that HVED owns. Unfortunately, ALC student enrollment dropped, but staff was reduced as well, so that the program had a net gain in 2017-18. In January 2019, HVED piloted moving the ALC program to Minnesota State College Southeast in Winona for 2 primary reasons. 1, to offer ALC students more educational options, and 2, because the SAIL program continues to grow at such a significant rate that the growth is pushing the ALC program out of the Kellogg building. As you can see, the SAIL Setting 4 behavior program in Kellogg has grown tremendously in the last 3 years, from just 2 teachers and 10 students in 2016-17 to 5 teachers and 36 students today. A Setting 4 behavior program means the students spend 100% of their time away from the traditional classroom setting. Managing this tremendous growth is a credit to the staff at SAIL, but also a testament to the need across HVED. With this significant growth, we are just 1 classroom away from consuming the entire building in support of a Setting 4 behavior program. Along with the growth in student population, the growth in services is expanding as well. A program called Children's Therapeutic Services and Supports, or CTSS, has begun offering mental health services to eligible students who attend SAIL. The Spectrum program in Caledonia is housed in the 2nd-story wing HVED leases in the Caledonia Elementary School. This Setting 4 program serves students on the autism spectrum. Spectrum is only in its third year and has seen tremendous growth in student population and effective student programming in that short time. Although still in its infancy, the Spectrum program is establishing itself as a successful program. The professional staff at Spectrum are dedicated to providing a rich learning environment to meet the unique needs of their students. WIN, a Setting for Behavior program, shared the same wing with Spectrum. In the fall of 2018, the WIN program suffered the loss of key staff members at the same time that the student population suddenly jumped to 11 students. The two programs became incompatible as there simply was not sufficient space to accommodate the very different needs of the students. The loss of key staff and the limited space strained the program to such a degree that it was determined the best thing to do was to relocate students to various programs, including SAIL, its sister Setting for Behavior program in Kellogg, so that the WIN program could be restructured. The WIN program, as of March 1st, 2019, has no students, no staff, and no physical location. This restructure has allowed the Spectrum program to survive and even thrive. At this moment, HVED hosts a Setting for Behavior program in the northeast corner of HVED in Kellogg called SAIL, and an Autism Spectrum program at the very southeast part of HVED in Caledonia called Spectrum. Again, the ALC has effectively relocated to Winona. With an understanding of the background and history of HVED and the member districts it serves, let's look at the current HVED facility study we have embarked on with our planning consultant, Kraus Anderson. Specifically, the purpose and the goal for this study is to plan long-term and provide options that fit the needs of our programs and meet the needs of the students they serve. It is important to be proactive in developing solutions while being mindful of the need to reach consensus among our member districts. Because this PowerPoint is meant to serve as an update, we would like to share with you the process and the progress of our study effort to date. As our study consultant, Kraus Anderson has met with HVED administrative leadership to confirm the study goals and affirm a process that will meet those goals. Initially, Kraus Anderson has researched HVED's organization and facility settings and sites, including program locations at member district building. As our study consultant, Kraus Anderson is committed to gathering input from all stakeholders within HVED. This included a staff survey that was available to all member district staff, as well as face-to-face interviews with HVED administrative staff and member district leadership, specifically superintendents of all 13 member school districts. This input will provide Kraus Anderson with valuable information on the wide range of needs and perceptions within HVED. This will also identify potential emerging programs and other perspectives that will help in developing facility options and costs for the study outcomes. Eventually, the study will provide HVED with a number of potential facility options, costs, and funding analysis for consideration by its member districts. In the recently completed member district interviews, Kraus Anderson asked member district leaders the same series of questions about HVED and how it is meeting or not meeting their students' needs. Member district leaders were also asked if there were additional program needs that HVED should consider in its facility planning. The interviews also asked about the challenges and issues that HVED should be mindful of as the study moves forward, including potential facility configurations and locations. The interviews revealed a number of benefits that HVED brings to its member districts, including the Area Learning Center and the SAIL program. Member districts acknowledged that setting for programming is something that they can't do on their own. A number of districts also viewed the PAYS Lab in Caledonia and Kellogg as a benefit of HVED, but others noted this program has limited access. The interviews also revealed a number of areas where HVED falls short of member district expectations. Specifically, the WIN program in Caledonia has fallen short and is now being restructured. The ALC program in Kellogg is not readily accessible, plus families perceive the ALC to have a stigma attached to it. Hopefully, the move to Minnesota State College Southeast will assist in the rebranding of the ALC. Still, other member districts are bypassing HVED's ALC with their own ALPs, alternative learning programs. HVED could serve districts better by implementing more programs around chemical dependency and provide districts with more guidance in assistive technology. Finally, nearly all member districts mentioned the challenge of long distances from their schools to HVED sites and long travel times for students to access many of HVED's learning programs. In addition, the interviews asked for input on additional programming offerings that HVED could consider. Responses included adding more programs to meet mental health needs, incorporating an 18 to 21-year-old transition program, expanding birth to 3 services, and exploring the delivery of services in an online or teleservice format. When asked about challenges that HVED currently poses to member districts, the answers included first and foremost, travel distances and cost of transportation to access HVED program sites. Another challenge is identifying an ALC setting specifically for middle school students, separate from the older high school students. A challenge will be determining the best location of HVED facilities and the cost of implementing new or improved facilities and how these costs will be shared amongst the member districts. Finally, it was pointed out that maintaining our HVED staff through recruitment and retention will be critical to the future success of HVED. We should also revisit our mission and branding to ensure that HVED is truly serving its member districts' needs and that the member districts are taking advantage of HVED offerings. As the study begins to move forward into developing facility options, Krause Anderson noted that there will be a number of configurations and locations with associated costs to consider. Maintaining status quo of current facilities will have cost implications also. This includes an estimated $4 million of upgrades identified at the Kellogg site, along with potential additional space needs there. We must also consider continued leased costs for program space at Caledonia, Minnesota State College Southeast, or elsewhere, and include space needs at the district office in Winona. The next steps will be to begin developing options and associated costs for facility configurations to meet HVED's identified needs now and into the future. Using in-depth analysis, Krause Anderson will determine costs for constructing appropriate facilities, either new or repurposed, with potential locations. Krause Anderson will work with Ehlers Financial Services to determine the levy impact for each member district. The timeline includes updates for the HVED Board of Directors and HVED member district school boards within the coming months to continue receiving information and having discussions with leadership. Superintendents have set a goal to be able to make a facilities decision by March of 2020. Throughout the process of HVED's facility study, there are a few things we know for sure. Number one, HVED exists to serve the students and staff within our member districts, and we do our very best work when we collaborate. Number two, doing nothing is not free, and the real cost may only be realized by program and staffing limitations, increased repair and maintenance costs of current buildings, and declining options for students. Number three, HVED is actively creating a new and better reality as we establish our vision of exceptional teams empowering exceptional students.
Okay,
I guess we're done.
thank you. And then, you go at the end. Questions?
So they're working on determining whether we need to build buildings or where we're gonna put them and how much it's gonna cost, and what,
Right.
basically.
For the levy information, Ehlers has worked on it before, and they know that, as far as the computation, they just use Houston's on-site students, not the MNVA students for our share. Because I said there was no way this board would or should pass something that, taxes our people for things that those students can never access.
And if they bring in students, they were saying something about students from outside schools that are not part of the group, they pay a percentage or equal to or more than?
They pay the, it's like a per diem fee. They figure out the cost of the program and the cost per student, and so
And
they pay.
it's hefty.
Yeah.
They have one coming in now from Hastings into Kellogg. It's costing them like 40,000 for that one.
What's the other district that has an ALP?
Chatfield
Oh,
has their own ELP.
okay. So whatever decision is made, will that influence perhaps our,
HVED's decisions have already impacted some.
yeah, but
Um,
will they, I mean, since there's still a little bit of, they don't know if it's gonna be 2 buildings, 1 building, or what the final plan
There,
is
there
gonna be.
might be some other impact for us, when that decision is made.
The ALC
They,
affected our summer already,
yeah,
so.
they, that is one where they really feel that we are undermining HVED by having our own.
That
But,
was kinda clear, but that,
Yeah.
I just was wondering how, what their decision is, how that, when we will be poised to say that has impact for Summit.
and
I mean,
that's
direct, more completely.
when the decision is made and we know whether they're talking 1 building, 2 buildings, or just rehabbing what they have and where it's going to be. Because they really could, the main office is close enough to Southeast Tech so that they could rehab part of the main office and have those students go over to take classes at Southeast Tech and come back. It's about 3 blocks away. So that would definitely impact us.
They used to have one in Lanesboro, but Lanesboro got down to 1 student, and that was a deaf student, and they were providing it, so HVED is basically paying the program, but it's just paying Lanesboro coming off their cost right now, I
Oh,
think.
for the ALS, and they still are paying for a half-time teacher in
Yeah.
Spring Grove.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense to me, because it's just for online Odysseyware. And this teacher on site can
It's offered.
teach the Odysseyware just as easily as the teacher that we're paying in Spring Grove. And
That's
so
what they're
that
doing in
makes,
Lanesboro right now, I think.
it makes no sense. But
More to come.
more to come.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Oh, one thing I do wanna say, the Spectrum program is now really working well. They did some changes with their, staffing. Some people left, they hired on some new, and, the lead teacher they have now is phenomenal. So that program's actually working.
Okay.
Okay.
We have a resolution on retirement of Phil Duffy. Okay.
Yeah, well, Phil has been with us for 15 years and he's done at the end of this month, right? So
Yes,
I contacted Cran and got some input to draft a resolution to.
As you always do. So,
yes, it's
Thank
very
you.
nice
Well.
of you to do. Oh, and, we are going to have a little going away,
Open house.
celebration potluck for Phil on the 22nd.
Are we-
There's no school that day,
Are
but
we giving him anything as a,
The school usually does, we
School
don't.
does.
We
yeah,
don't.
this,
Board does.
The,
cause he has been a big benefit to
yes,
the school.
so I'd like to make a motion to introduce the resolution.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Very well, thank you.
Well, the custodial staff and some of the support staff, they are the real backbone of an on-site school and a school district, and I think they should know that.
and when people come to the building, they're amazed at how good it looks.
Well, I can just speak up too I was here when Phil was here, working as a custodian, and he's fantastic. He did a great job. He's got a great attitude. And kids liked him. That's why I feel we definitely need to acknowledge, his leaving, because it's a void.
And we had the ad in the paper, and so far we have for, custodial positions, because now we'll need a custodian. We've had 0 applicants. So, if you know somebody that would like to be.
So, okay. Okay, so,
Carry on.
thank you. Anybody else have anything else you want to comment?
Ron, you wanna flip the light back on?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Just the middle.
Just came in.
Thank you.
Mike Lee? You good?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. So, do we have a motion to approve the policies?
Move to approve policies 201, 203, and 806.
Have a motion?
Second it.
Got a second? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. New business, obviously we have none. Announcements, important events? You mentioned Phil's event.
Yep, on the 22nd.
Other than that, is there anything else?
What, is that a special time on the 22nd?
I
Non-school
think
day.
noon. It's a non-school day, so I think it's at noon.
You wanna get that out, Ann, or let us know in case somebody wants to come by?
Yep.
For school. Thanks. Okay, nothing else? Meeting and committee updates, we had an online school board meeting. Mimi, you wanna brief us on that?
Sure, we looked at, enrollment numbers, budget, that sort of stuff. We talked a little bit about we talked a lot about Destination Career Academy, and everybody that's in 9th and 10th grade is gonna be contacted to determine if they wanna be in the health or the business, or none. Destination Career Academy. And they're interviewing next Thursday for the coordinator
And the assistant.
and maybe hire the coordinator and the assistant.
They had
So-
some applicants?
Yeah, I don't know how many there are, but yes, they're definitely,
I know they weeded the number down to 3. They took the top 3 applicants. And I know there were more than 3,
And
so.
who's on this selection?
it's a
Um,
K-12 position.
It's a K-12 position, but,
Scott's
I will
there.
be there, Scott will be there, Lisa, and then Angela, if she can make it.
I think they're meeting in
It's,
Rochester.
Mhm.
it's still, testing, and, Mr. Vietto, who is in charge of online testing, is also going to become a dad any day now, so, Angela is his backup.
Good for him. Anything else you wanna bring up
I
on
think
that?
that's it. We talked a little bit about the advisory board, associated too, but yeah, all good discussion. It seems to be well underway, so hiring the coordinator would be good.
Any questions, anybody? Okay, that's it for meeting committees. Do you have anything at all, feedback? Good. Thank yous, agenda things? Again, we wanna thank Phil, obviously, for his time and
Yes,
service and
yes.
what he's done for the school.
A huge
As Pete
thank you.
mentioned, all he's done.
Huge
That's
thank
good.
you to Phil for everything that he's done. We did get, sad news that Deb Rokenbrock, who's been an online teacher here with us for years, her husband passed away suddenly.
Mm.
So I will, send something on behalf of the board and the district.
Good job.
But other than that,
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, have a great night. Before 7, just like you wanted, Gene.
I think he said 6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, but that was for a 15-minute video, I didn't know we had to do.
he
You might-
has, Steve hasn't decided.
Yeah, the
yet
15-minute
what
one,
he wants to change.
We'd have been done.
I'll
today.
tell him I would have been on time again for I had to
Yeah,
listen there
because
15.
the day
Exactly.
position,
He's not gonna go to the
Phil gets here in 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you had to listen to their meetings.
But then the nice thing is
Otherwise
she
you
has to
couldn't
deal
be
with
there.
all those after-school activities.
Thanks, Gene.
Yeah.
I would think Steve would be like,
But
Good
when
to hear
Sam
Bob's
makes a
okay.
decision, and then
Yeah,
that's
it's getting
what
better.
matters.
It's okay.
Yeah, you might wanna go, I mean,
I still have the
Oh, she's
recordings
alright now,
going,
she's
my
out.
computer is
I don't know about that.
what,
Slowly,
may
she's
I
not down
ask,
there alone.
what's the benefits, the pay?
Think about Bob and I think,
That's the
there's no
question.
way, like, I couldn't take it out here.
I just assumed
Say
that
I'd have
doesn't
to
get
wait,
turned
but
in.
It must not be enough.
I mean, like, it,
Okay,
yeah.
do I keep-
You're leaving it open like
she'll just be stiff.
maybe more,
Yeah,
maybe
she needs to
evening.
take some.
Yes,
she's
got
gonna
that.
make
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she
locally,
needs
you
to
think
stay
that
in
someone in Houston would be like, I want local work. I don't
Oh, but
know.
the thing is,
Yeah.
Bob can't even,
Okay,
There-
that goes in your
like,
personnel
like,
file.
unemployment right now
This is
is like
the harassment.
Oh.
Get really
under
sore.
2%.
Yeah,
Yes, I mean, it's
well, that's what,
There's
yeah,
just nobody-
she's still a little dizzy,
Okay.
you know.
The last page.
So,
So you should keep that
Seeing
for
ground
Right.
future
that
reference.
position. I know it's piecemeal
So she had
now,
interviews the
but
other day,
that's
so.
just to stay the course.
Sorry.
And then like re-advertise this summer or?
It's still posted on the
Oh, it
website.
is, okay.
Yeah,
It's still
and
on the website, and we still hit
Yeah, I
back.
just got back
The,
today.
the
so-
one person that was interested said it wasn't big enough, we just can't, we can't pay for
Oh, this is just
So-
a checklist
No, I
of
told
We
him.
things
can't
that
pay
you
somebody
have to do.
2,000.
Oh, so I-
And that was
Just go put
Well, I guess maybe I got
compared to other
Yeah.
districts.
Yeah, in your
Yeah.
file.
I'll
Okay.
try to
We're
always
saying
sit there and make
similar
stuff
to what
up.
other districts,
How
other
about
districts
how
have
about-
their own fleet.
Yeah, no,
We
no,
have
yeah.
to do automatic, you know, deposit.
So other school, are other school districts doing like retirees?
Has anything changed?
Is that the other option, you
So I
go
think,
part-time?
I don't
Because
know
both of
how
our
many
positions are
years
2 full-time slots.
I had it back in front
Oh,
of me.
yeah, situation
And
today.
will it change the
Yeah,
floors?
everybody needs to be
Floors
quiet.
are
I
flags?
don't remember.
Nobody's
We
saying
did it
so.
already.
You know, will that, will redoing the
Yeah,
rooms,
she hasn't
will
paid
redoing
you
the
yet, and
science
that's what
rooms, will
she's
that-
Well, the only thing I got paid. I
Make it
got
more
paid in that
enticing or like
reimbursement.
less labor.
Yeah, we send you a check.
Less labor.
That's a
and maybe
different
we
pot of
don't
money
need a
than
full-time.
payroll, so the
Okay.
payroll has to go direct
Oh.
deposit.
Because I
It
know
would
that
probably be a
that
good
you
idea to
can
get that
down
filled
on
out.
summertime,
submitted.
But to not have to do
Question.
the waxing
Yeah.
anymore.
Sure.
Cause there's 17 rooms now
Um,
that will not need wax,
Right,
which is
gotcha.
huge.
See, this
It is huge, I always remember when that school year started, you always saw the new shiny floors, but.
Employer
And now every day
represented.
you'll see the shiny
Right,
floors.
I wasn't, I wasn't being critical.
This, the,
Well,
would
yeah,
be
but
like a
it
retirement
also-
benefit,
that also
PERA,
meant
you
that,
should
um,
probably have some of
during
that
the
already.
summer,
I
So
do.
There were
it comes
days
in a
when-
different capacity when you're
the
elected.
teachers couldn't
So
get into
this
their
might be
rooms
one that you might
because-
wanna email Marcia or Kelly about.
Yeah, because do I have to, I mean, the amount I'm getting paid is
Yeah.
not enough that it should,
Well, I think
does
that,
it fall into that
I
category
think there's a
though?
percentage that the board covers, I mean, for what you make, there is a board deposit, I mean, the school itself pitches in
Okay.
part of it,
Because what I
so.
didn't understand, I thought, wait a minute, as a employee, as a teacher, yeah, I have that. But as a board, you don't have a retirement that you're getting paid from serving on the board, correct?
Well, I'm not sure, because, our salary schedule does, allow for that to happen,
Oh,
you know, when you get paid a portion
Okay.
of, yeah, so
so is
that,
this a question for Marcia?
that would be a Marcia or Kelly
Okay.
question.
Okay, and then, oh,